I'm Rebecca Swift, Director of the Literary Consultancy, the UK's longest established editorial assessment service. We're here to give you a basic overview of the editing process, which involves an important part of your book fitness regime. Shortly, I'll be handing over to Aki Schultz, TLC's manager, who will be, as it were, your fitness instructor for this session. She'll be introducing you to the three-step editing circuit and giving you top 10 tips from our professional readers. This will give you everything you need to get your book in great shape in 2014.
I'm Aki Schultz, Editorial Services Manager at the Literary Consultancy, and I'll be your trainer for this book fitness video on editing. I hope you've got your red pens at the ready. Before we start today's workout, it's important to say a few things to get us warmed up. Whatever stage of writing you're at and whichever project you're working on at the moment, it's important to find a fitness regime that suits you and your book. In other words, it's important to identify how you write, work and edit best before you start your book fitness regime. This video has been designed to provide basic guidance on the kinds of editing that every manuscript will need. So, let's get started. Writing is about routine and discipline just as much as it is about creativity. That's why it's important to keep generating new material. It's the only way you're going to learn to be a better editor of your own work. One tip is to use a simple template to create a writing or editing calendar. This way you can set yourself weekly or even monthly writing targets. It doesn't really matter what those targets are as long as they're what's called SMART. Specific, measurable, attainable, realistic and timely. SMART. So a general goal might be to get my book fit. A specific goal would be I'm going to work out 5 days a week, splitting my time 50-50 between writing and editing. For example, you might want to set yourself a daily writing target, let's say 500 words. It worked for Graham Greene. Let's break this down into some numbers. In a working week, you'd be aiming for 2,500 words. In a month, 10,000. And if you're working on weekends too, that would be 14,000 a month. When you top that up, you're looking at 168,000 words in a year. Now, taking into account edits and cuts, that's a whole novel in 12 months. Not bad. Let's get back to our writing calendar. Take one day a week, say a Friday, and make it into your editing day. You'll be treating this in the same way that you would a rest day. You're resting your writing muscles, but you're still continuing to develop your practice. Use your weekly editing day to go over the previous week's work. Come to it with a red pen and an open mind. Of course, this is only one editing style. You'll need to figure out what works best for you. Maybe you work better editing chapter by chapter. Perhaps you prefer to join a local writing group. Maybe you want to try and go through all of the self-editing basic steps one by one and then get outside help from a professional outfit like TLC. Whatever you choose and however you do it, you have to be prepared to work hard, work regularly and work smart. I'll be going through our top 10 editing tips that we've collected from TLC's in-house team of professional editors in just a moment. But first, let's take a look at our three-step editing circuit. Station 1. Structural and developmental editing. You can do a lot of structural and developmental editing yourself, or you can get a professional editor to help you with it. Structural and developmental editing has to do with the basic elements of storytelling. So, narrative drive, structure, pacing, point of view, and style. Station 2. Copy editing. A professional copy editor will correct errors in style, usage, continuity, grammar, and spelling. They'll also take a broad strokes look at any remaining technical or structural issues, as well as basic fact-checking. Station 3. Proofreading. Proofreading is the final stage of editing before a book goes to print. A professional proofreader will be an expert in spelling and grammar and will iron out all those tiny last errors. Step 3. High intensity interval training. Let's get straight to our top editing tips, provided by TLC's team of professional editors. Pens and notebooks at the ready. Tip 1. Be kind. If this is your first draft, don't be too hard on yourself. You've done brilliantly just to complete a book at all. Tip 2. Read it aloud. Reading your text aloud will help you scan your writing for rhythm, sense and authenticity, and for repetition. If something sounds odd or if you find yourself stumbling over it when you read it, it probably needs cutting. Tip 3. Beware exposition. Another common pitfall for writers is including long sections of exposition, where the writer or the narrator tells us things. This is part of the age-old show, don't tell writing rule. As Chekhov once said, "Don't tell me the moon is shining, show me the glint of light on broken glass." Tip 4. Don't start late, don't end early. So many of the books we see start too late and end too early. Analyse the beginning of your book. Do you really need that prologue or all that backstory? Tip 5. Look out for pet words. Every writer has them, unusual words they want to show off. Firstly, check you're using them correctly. Always keep a good dictionary handy. Secondly, if it's a very unusual word, use the search function, Ctrl F in Word, to make sure you don't use it more than twice in a book. Readers will notice. Tip 6. Screen for clichés. We all know what they look like, from phrases to character types. Get rid of them. Find new ways of saying and of describing. Tip 7. Check your facts. Cross-reference all your dates, locations and events. Pick out anachronisms. Readers will notice if you're writing a contemporary political thriller and you've got your politicians mixed up, or if your historical fiction character uses a phrase that wasn't invented till 100 years after the time in which your novel is set. Tip 8. Learn the distance technique. A long-distance approach looks at genre, the market, the story arc, and character development. A middle-distance approach looks at chapter structure, balance, overall voice, beginnings, middles, and endings. A close-up looks at sentence construction, language consistency, spelling, formatting, and grammar. Tip 9. Check your story for sense and logic. It might help to make a timeline for your book. Separate out plots and subplots for a clearer idea of how they fit together. Make sure the characters' goals are consistent, that their reactions are logical, believable, and in character. Tip 10. Summarise. This handy exercise helps put longer projects into focus. Write the content of each chapter into one paragraph. Now narrow this down into one sentence. Line up your sentences in order. Does it still read like a story? Step 4. Cool down time. We're coming to the end of our video, so we just have time for a quick cool down. It's important that you give yourself time between your edits and between all stages of your book fitness regime. Leave your manuscript for a bit and come back to it with fresh eyes. You can do a lot of editing yourself, but it's important to always keep going and know when to get professional help. Don't rush, take your time and have fun. It's your book, so make it work for you. We hope you've enjoyed our editing video and top tips for self-editing your work. If you need any help, you know where we are. We're the Literary Consultancy. So, best of luck, thanks for watching, and keep writing.